loud in the chamber, pressure gets colder. Resla walks in, truth riding his shoulder. Here for the shift, tear the mask off pretenders. Beat drop, he's a fucking monster. Cuts through the noise, pulls the lies into daylight. Every move calculated, every word's a fist fight. Building new code, stacking bricks for the future. Turning midlife to gold, cut the chains like a suture. Keeps time as a weapon, each tick is a death note. Lights up the skyline, watch the whole city take note. Not chasing the fame, hit a freeze what's molten. Break open the silence, keep the truth ice coated. No clock to punch, and he's the one who dictates. Every second's a fuse, watch the skyline detonate. Eyes closed, living from the sideline. No talking, I'ma do it, bitch, it's my time. Everything's swerving, driving off of my tie. But I'm cool as can be, look in my eyes. These some pictures you can't put up on your timeline. More vivid than the NYC skyline. Some crazy shit you can't imagine, only I find. You just coming for a trip inside my mind. The street lights hum with nights in my grip. Voices fade out, but the truth never slips. Shadows on the wall dance slow, then divide. I follow where they lead with the calm in my stride. Breath like smoke, but the fire stays quiet. Dreams turn sharp when the silence goes violent. You see a moment, I'm already past it. My mind's a museum and you can't outlast it. Yeah. 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 Life and laws, choice and cost. Somebody waking up. Same time, somebody somewhere realizing they gave too much. Yeah, that's how it go. And people swear they didn't know. Like the signs ain't been there the whole time. Just moving slow. Yeah. See, I don't watch people talk like they want peace. They manufacture confusion just to feel hard to reach. Seen pride where intelligence like the tail of the skies. Whole personality built around never being surprised. Seen people call it growth when it's really retreat. Call it healing when it's distance with a prettier speech. Call it standards when it's filled with better posture and tone. Whole life curated just to never feel fully known. I seen soft people play hard, hard people collapse. Seen men call it logic while emotion leak through the cracks. Yeah, seen women call it intuition when control's in the room. Everybody want the truth until it start sounding like you. This ain't just talk, it's pattern work, it's pressure read. This what people do when they starving but don't know what they need. It's for the ones at the crossroads, dressed in self-respect, still using other people's eyes to decide what they reflect. And what is life? A bunch of versions fighting for air. A bunch of I'm fines piled up in a body that's barely there. A bunch of names, roles, labels, stories people protect. And most of what they call self is just what they ain't questioned yet.
Resla is life. That quiet thought that don't leave when the room get loud. Resla is life.
That feeling when the truth land and your pride sit down.
Resla is life.
A mirror with pressure, no filter, no soft disguise.
Resla is life.
What people avoid when they swear they self-aware inside.
I'm
like watching somebody laugh through a life they don't respect. Like I'm just figuring it out when really they scared of what's next. I'm like every almost choice that still haunts you at 2 a.m. Like I could have been that version if you moved before it ended. I'm like realizing too late that comfort got a body count. Like staying still so long you forget what the doubt's about. Yeah. I'm like potential with a shelf life. Windows closing in silence. Like indecisions dressed as peace while your future die from compliance. I'm like every friendship's built on access instead of care. Like people saying I got you as long as it's easy there. I'm like clout in a crisis, fake morals with good branding. Like kneeling to whoever's lit and calling it understanding. I'm like a man with a platform, still unsure who he is. Like a woman saying I'm here while choosing what to spite. I'm like the pause after somebody say that's just how I am. Knowing damn well that sentence usually means don't look too close at this. I'm like A showing up and not a
I could say that I don't, but the truth is I do. The truth is I do. And I wish I could say that I'm over, but the truth is I'm under. The truth is I'm under. And I wish I could say that I'm strong, but the truth is I'm broken. The truth truth is I'm broken. And the truth is, and the truth is, and the truth is, and the truth is. And I wish I could say that I'm better. And the truth is, and the truth is, and the truth is. And I wish I could say that I wish I could say that I don't. But the truth is I don't. The truth is I do. And I wish I could say that I'm over. But the truth is I'm under. The truth is I'm under. And I wish I could say that I'm strong. But the truth is I'm broken. The truth is I'm broken. And the truth is, and the truth is, and the truth is, and the truth is. And I wish I could say that I'm happy, but the truth is I'm crying. The truth is I'm crying. And I wish I could say that I won, but the truth is I'm losing. The truth is I'm losing. And I wish I could say I still trust, but the truth is I'm guarded. The truth is I'm guarded. And the truth is I still feel it.
What's good, y'all? What is good? What's going on? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. For those who caught the notification, I don't think YouTube was putting out notifications because some reason, like, I just really wasn't hearing anything from some people or whatever. But it is what it is. Doesn't stop us from it doesn't stop this train from moving. Is the point that I'm getting at. I was reading something. I was going through a couple of things and a couple of passages and a couple of books, and I ran across a quote. And the quote said, "Be ashamed to die until you've accomplished some victory for humanity." This is a quote that came from Horace Mann. I don't know, it stuck with me, and it made me think about how we look at life in general, right? Let's sit with that for a second. When I read that quote from Horace Mann, and I understood why it might hit people in the way that it does. You know, be ashamed to die until you've accomplished some victory for humanity. It sounds big. It sounds like a big deal. That sounds like somebody telling you that before you leave this earth, you better do something that faces the world and pushes it forward. And I get that, but that's not exactly how I took it. Because I do not think everybody is here to do some grand public service kind of thing. Most people are not going to change the world in a way that strangers can measure it. I think most people are not going to have their names written somewhere that's important. I think most people are not going to be studied, quoted, honored, or even remembered by people who never met them. That's just not the way how I look at our services that we look at for the average person in the world. And I do not think that, I don't think that that means that their lives do not matter. That's also something I want to make sure that I say. The question that I sat with, at least me, was a little bit smaller than that. But in some ways, I think it felt heavier. And that is, when the last person who truly knows me, not of me, but actually knows me, when that person passes away, what will I have been? It's just a thought. Not what did people call me, not what did people assume about me, not what version of me did someone create, because let's just be honest, motherfuckers is just always looking for a villain. You know what I mean? That's not what I am referring to. Not the person that they, because shit's just not doing well for them in their own lives, that they just needed to create a villain. That's not what I'm talking about. What did I actually leave behind? That is the question for tonight. Not just only that I've been asking myself since reading that quote, but also a question that we can all have for ourselves as well. Not that death, not talking about death in some weird spooky way, not legacy in some fake deep ass way. We're not talking about fame. We're not talking about just being known. Just this. When memory fades, did you leave anything useful to someone else? That's what I'm thinking about. And before we get into it, I want to be a little bit clear about what this conversation is and what it is not about. This is not me telling everybody they need to do something to serve humanity. That's not what this is about. This is too much. It's too much pressure, and it's too much honesty. And most people who like that are not going to do it either. Let's just be honest about that. This is not about anybody or everybody needing to start a movement, a platform, a business, a book, or some public mission. This is not about pretending that your life only matters if strangers get to know your name. It's not even that. I think that this is where people lose the script when we start looking at purpose. Because now everything gets measured in the public, especially due to social media. How many people get to see it? How many people liked it? How many people shared it? How many people clapped for it? How many people wanted to follow because of it? But a life can be useful without it needing to be famous. A person can matter without becoming a public figure. Somebody can change the direction of someone else's life, and almost nobody else will know what that person did. That is what I want to talk about. The difference between being remembered and leaving meaning. Because these two are not the same thing. I think the question is are big ones, but the questions are also personal to ourselves. I'm still digesting the quote. When Horace Mann says, "Be ashamed and to die until you've accomplished something, some victory for humanity," I don't hear that as somebody needing to be some kind of historic figure. I hear that more like, I hear it more like this: do not leave having only taken up space. Do not leave this world only providing yourself being a burden to others. Do not leave here having only consumed and not giving back. Do not leave here only being a person who reacted and not someone who actually performed any actions. Do not leave this world never adding anything that helped somebody else in some way that made their life a little easier, a little better. That's the way how I've read that. And while that doesn't have to be huge, that could be monumental to a child who grows up to be better because you were there, you were honest with them. That could be really beneficial to a friend who stopped destroying themselves because you told them the truth. That could be the work that you make. That could be the conversation that somebody will remember years from now that they've had with you. Something to think about. That could be the way that you showed up for someone else who couldn't show up for themselves. And even that can be useful if the lesson is a clear one. If the lesson could be something that can be easily measured. But the reason the quote stood out for me is because it made me ask myself about my own life. What am I cultivating right now? Not what I am hoping happens someday. Not what do I do or what do I think I would do if everything was perfect. Not right now. What am I building in my words, my habits, my work, my relationships, and even in the way that I move throughout people? Because whether I admit it or not, we are leaving something behind. The question is whether it is helping or is it hurting other people. Some people leave behind peace. Some people leave behind confusion. Some people leave behind better examples, for good or for ill. Some people leave behind a complete mess that everybody else has to come behind them and clean up. Some people leave behind wisdom. Others leave behind wounds. And that is the uncomfortable part that is missing for a lot of us, that a lot of us don't even get to decide how people get to experience us after the fact. You can tell yourself who you are, or rather, you could tell yourself who you were. But other people are going to live with who you were, not actually how you perceived yourself to be. And I think this is why questions matter rather than we just assume or we make up things for ourselves. Not because you need to become perfect, by the way, because you should be aware. you should consider yourself to be aware. I'm almost wondering. I guess I'll ask this to some of you guys right now. I don't know what's going on with the algorithm. I know there's some changes happening to YouTube, but whatever. The question I'll ask you guys, whether you look at this now or whether you do this in the replay, when you think when you think about people who affect your life, was it usually because they did something huge, or was it because they said something or did something at that right time? When we think about people who were influential, who are influential to us, is it because they just always knew what to say? Was it simply because they were there when we needed the most, or that whenever, regardless of what kind of trouble or things that were going through our mind, they were there for us, or they are there for us? It's something to think about. Why do we even hold these people at such esteem that we are willing to keep them next to us? It's just something you think about for yourself. I think the next thing I'll try to go through is basically remembering, or rather, I should look at it this way: that being remembered is not the same thing as that meaning. That meaning, the thing that we're leaving behind. I think a lot of people want to be remembered. In fact, I don't really think I know anyone that does not want to be remembered. And I understand that. Believe me, I do. Nobody wants to feel like they've been doing all of that work, all of their building, all of their lore, as you want to pull it, just for it to be lost, to be thrown out into the void and just disappeared. But being remembered is not the same thing as leaving a legacy, leaving a memory, leaving a meaning for other people. People can remember your name, and not for nothing means that you didn't do anything to help them in their life. People can remember all the times that you were around, but it doesn't mean that they learned anything from you. You were just there filling in time. People might even miss you, and still there was nothing that you did that was very monumental for them. On the other side of that, somebody can barely know your name and still carry something that you did for them, that you were for them, that you provided to them. I think these are the things that we need to look at as making a difference, because memory depends on people, not just us. Meaning can move past people, and maybe that meaning doesn't even mean that you did something to influence that other person directly, but because of something that you did for them, with them, to them, they passed that down to someone else, and it was beneficial for that person. Someone may not remember the exact conversation or gesture or act that you did. They may not remember that exact day or that exact moment. They may not even remember the full story. But that doesn't mean that they didn't feel a shift that took place. They can remember that somebody told them something one day that was truthful, and while they may not remember everything or that person's name or whatever, that doesn't mean it didn't make a change. All they could think about to themselves is that there was somebody, I can't remember who it was, but I think that was the time that I realized a difference, a foundational shift. They can remember that somebody was willing to be honest with them, even about themselves, when nobody else was going to be. And that person, who even could be you, that person still has respect in their back of their mind, within their heart. This doesn't. This is the difference. This is the difference from being liked, and this is the difference between just being missed, being misunderstood, and just being missed. And I think that a lot of us are trying. No, I don't want to say it like that. I think that this is where a lot of us should really slow down. Because we spend so much time trying to be received well, that we do not ask if we're leaving anything of any substance behind. Doesn't need to be heavy, doesn't need to be in some dramatic way. I'm talking about just something useful. Did I help someone see a particular situation clearer? Did I help someone take themselves a little bit more seriously in life? Did I make someone stop and think before they decide to repeat the same mistakes that they've been repeating? Did I give something honest to someone who really needed, because they couldn't outlive their own moment? I think this is the question that is more important than anything else. I think this is a question that's even more important than, do people like me? And for a lot of people, this is the part that they want to avoid. Because people like it easier to chase rather than to be useful. Let me say that one more time for you guys. People would rather chase the aspect of being liked rather than being useful. This is where even I can acknowledge things that's been going on in a lot of aspects of my own life. Now, a lot of people won't take that into respect. A lot of people even disavow it. A lot of people won't even really think about it. They'll hear things that'll go in that ear and out that same ear. They won't even really circulate. But the truth of the matter is that a lot of people are living on repeat. They're moving off of very limited information. They're coasting. They're moving their life in repetition. I know this. I've done it, and I watched so many people that do it. And acknowledging and understanding something doesn't make you better. If you can acknowledge, understand it, but you keep doing it. You can only become better when you decide to want to do something different. Personal experience. You don't need to take what I have to say as fact or anything. This is my own personal experience. You got to find yours. So the image of your life will go up against the effect that it actually has on your life. Because there is a version of ourselves. I was about to say of yourself, but it's of ourselves that we would like to believe in. And then there is a version people actually experience from us. That doesn't mean that these are the same two people. How people experience us and how we show our experience to people are not exactly the same thing. Honestly, to a lot of people, it's not even the same person. Because we don't even carry our experiences the same way to different people. This is why this kind of question is uncomfortable for some people to even really deal with. I think a lot of people don't even really sit down to really go through it. Because when you ask, what am I leaving behind? You cannot only answer from your intention. You have to look at your effort. Let me say that one more time because I think you might have missed it. When you're asking yourself the question, what did you leave behind? What did I leave behind? You can't simply just think about what your intentions were. Because as we've gone through even on this channel before, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, just intentions in general. So you have to look at the effect that it actually is taking place, your effect on other people. A person can intend to be honest and still use honesty as an excuse to be cruel. A person can intend to be helpful and still make everything feel it's about control. A person can intend to want to protect people and still make the very people that they want to protect, feel trapped. This is one I think of. A person can actually feel like, or rather, a person can intend to be strong and still make everybody around them walk on eggshells. This is why meaning cannot simply be about what you meant. It has to include what people had to carry after dealing with you. And that does not mean that everybody's opinion of you is correct, by the way. Because some people are going to be wrong about you. In fact, a lot of people are going to be wrong about you. Some people are only going to gather or know bits and pieces of you, even if you decide to show your whole self to them. Some people are committed. They are committed to misunderstanding you. And they are committed to misunderstand you because the real version of you does not serve them. Can I say that? This is important. But if everybody has to recover from you, from your presence, from what you do, you should probably ask some questions. Because if every room gets heavier, it can't really breathe right after you have entered it, you gotta ask yourself a question. If the only people, if people only feel like they're under relief when you leave a particular room or a particular space, you gotta ask yourself some questions. By the way, not because you're evil. Was good. Was good, Pandora's. We'll see how they feel about things. Because, like, you may not be really paying attention to what your spaces are or your surroundings. You may not have situational awareness because you're only focusing on you and your own intentions rather than anything else. And the point is not to hate yourself. Let me just put that out there. The point is to stop lying to yourself about the effect that you have on people. Because the effect is part of the thing, the effect is part of what gets left behind. It's just something for you guys to think about. And I'll ask you guys here, what is something people often think that they're giving others, but they are actually leaving people with something that's even worse? And Let me give you an example. If a person thinks that they are giving honesty, but they are leaving behind humiliation, if they think that they are giving advice, but they are leaving other people with a sense of social pressure, if they think that they are giving someone love, but honestly they're just leaving this person feeling guilty. What is something people often think that they are giving to others, but they are actually just leaving something worse behind? It's just something for you to think about. Think about it on your own, figure out what's going to be best. But I think that we, in some way, shape, or form, we all do it. Because when I'm thinking about that, I'm also thinking about a lot of the conversations that happened even here online. People who think that they are giving good advice, or that they are giving sound advice, or that they are caring, or that they are concerned. And I think that online life mistakes can even make things harder, because a lot more people are, quote, living online. Now, I want to bring this into something that's a little bit more current, because online people confuse attention with meanings all the time. And I get why. Attention is it's visible. You can literally count it. People count viewer counts and views and chat accuracy and whatever else. Like people like to view all this stuff. They want to look at views. They want to look at likes. They want to look at comments. They want to look at followers. They want to look at shares. They want to how many people are sharing your name and talking about you wherever you want to go. How many people are arguing about you. How many people are clipping you. How many people are reacting to you. That all feels like something that is happening. But attention is not always meaning and also meaningful, because sometimes attention is just noise. It's just noise with a number that's attached to it. And I will the same way it's always been put out there. The same way it is for the internet as well. Not all attention is good attention. I know you guys will say, "Oh yeah, even bad media is good media," until you realize you can never be able to go anywhere. Because the funny part about when you say the bad media is good media, the majority of you, unless you're like a Bonnie Blue or something like that, most of you want to be herald. You don't want to become pariahs. Anyone who wants to become pariah is okay with the fact of somebody snuffing them out one day, because that's a life you set up for yourself. And the only question I would really ask is, why do you hate yourself that much? Why would you want to be so, not even famous, infamous, that you would want someone to take you off the chessboard because you are just deciding that you want to be such a despicable person online? Just, that's a question for you. This is the question for you that only you can answer. Because some people are only known for being loud. Some people are only known for being messy. Some people are known because they keep putting themselves in the middle of shit that has nothing to do with them. There can be a disagreement between two other people, and they felt like it can't be a disagreement without me. Some people are known because others keep reacting to them. And that does not mean that their life is useful. It doesn't. It means that their presence makes it easier for other people to notice. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. These are not the same thing. And this is where I think a lot of people online get themselves fucked up in the game. They think if people are watching I must be doing something. Maybe. Or maybe people are watching the same way that they slow down in a car to see a car accident. Maybe they're just looking because people don't tend to just zoom past a car wreck, a car crash. They slow down because they want to see what's going on. Maybe they're just viewing you in the same way. Maybe they are watching because chaos is easy. Maybe they are watching because anger keeps the mind stimulated to watch. I don't know many people that walk away from scrolling and they see a fight taking place on the outside or in a school bathroom or in the locker rooms or whatever, in the hallways, in the supermarket. I don't know many people that scroll past that quickly. Anger, negativity, disagreement, these are the things that hold stimulation. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good thing. Maybe these people are watching because the internet, I feel like I was about to be on some Russian shit. The internet. The internet rewards people who act like children in public. This is not meaning. It's strictly attention. And by the way, I'm not saying attention has no value. I'm not going to tell you that. But there's no way I can tell you that. That's how we even got a lot of different media shows prior to social media, online media. If you make content, if you run a show, if you are building something, people have to see it. I'm not pretending that numbers don't matter at all. But the question is, what are those numbers attached to? What are they attached to? Are people just watching you? Or are people leaving with something? Are they thinking differently? Are they speaking differently? Are they treating themselves differently? Are they less confused after hearing you? This is the part that I care about. This is what I give a shit about. Not leaving you more confused, not leaving you more stunted, not leaving you more in disarray. Not saying, I had a great time listening, laughing, and I wasted my time, the most valuable resources, and I got nothing back for it. I know this is something that I get criticized about because I can be funny. I can be sarcastic. I can mock something or someone. I can get annoyed. I can react. But if that is all somebody takes from me, then either they're missing out on the entire point, or I didn't do enough to make the point very clear. And that is something that I have to sit with too. Because being entertaining can get people in the room. But if you have a message, being overstimulated by entertainment will only have people miss the message. And I think a lot of spaces, a lot of podcasts, a lot of creators miss the mark on this. I see that there's not a lot of people here, so I don't really have to worry about taking too much of a break. Let me think about this real quick. let me ask, what are people receiving from your life? Because that question just really hit me. What are people receiving from your life? It's a very simple question, but it's not necessarily easy to answer. What do people receive from the life that you have, from the life that you are around them on? Around them on is crazy. Around them, what do they receive from your presence? Not what do you say you are. Not what do you want people to think. What do they actually receive? When somebody spends time around you, do they leave clearer or do they leave more confused? Do they feel like they can breathe or do they feel like when you show up, you make them shrink? Do they feel like they're challenged in a way that helps them or do they feel attacked in every way that makes them closed off? Do they learn something from you? Or do they only learn how to survive you? This is important. This is a hard question. Because a lot of people want to know that they are giving their best of intentions. But to other people, they also have to deal with your habits. They have to deal with your tone. They have to deal with your timing. They have to deal with the shit that you avoid. They have to deal with the things that you keep repeating. They experience you refusing to be fixed. And I think over time, that becomes part of the shit that you leave behind. You may want to be remembered as loving, but if people mainly remember walking on eggshells around you, that matters. That matters. You may want to be remembered as being authentic, being real. But if mainly people remember you as you're real as a reason to be careless with them, that matters. You may want to be remembered as being a loyal friend. But if mainly people remember you as demanding loyalty while giving very little back, that matters. So this is why I do not think legacy is some far away thing. Legacy is being made while you're alive. It is in the way that people have to recover from you or grow because of you. Which one of those people are you to them? I don't even think a lot of people even bother asking. I think it is in the kind of stories people tell when they no longer need anything from you that will say so much about you. That matters. The stories that people say about us when they are no longer in need of us. And let's see. Same thing else I want to talk about real quick. Oh, I think this is very important. I should say, you do not need to, you do not need to be perfect in order to be someone useful. Because now I think that's something that a lot of people get twisted. They want to believe that they have to have their whole world together. What's good, Con? I ain't seen you in a while. What's going on, man? A lot of people think they need to get their whole situation set up. Some people will hear, "What are you leaving behind?" And they immediately start thinking they're too flawed to matter. I agree, Con. That's why they're called useful idiots. I agree. Um, to me, this is not what I'm saying to you guys. You do not need to be perfect in order to have some impact or to be useful to other people. You do not have to have your whole life together in order to be useful to other people. You do not have to be a clean example to be useful to other people. Sometimes the useful things that come from the part of you, the part of your life, are the things that came because it was all messy. This is how we learn a lot of our experiences in order to become better, to become more useful, because we deal with the messiness. Sometimes what helps somebody is not you being successful, whatever you dub success is. Sometimes your honesty about what almost ruins you is the thing that will help other people. The fact that you have particular stories or experiences that people can live vicariously through you in order to make proper decisions are sometimes the things that they consider to be useful. Sometimes it's the lessons that you learned, even if you learned them late, are the things that can be beneficial to other people. Sometimes it's the patterns. We talk about patterns all the time, human behavior, folks. The patterns that you finally admitted that you didn't get over and that you finally did, and you can express that to other people, are the things that they learn from. Because a lot of us have patterns that we keep repeating, and then we wonder why our situations don't change. These are the things that can help somebody, but only and only when you start telling the truth about yourself. When you are truthful about yourself to yourself. Because if all you do is you hide behind the lessons so you can protect your image, then nobody gets help. People cannot learn from a lie that you are still trying to maintain, because eventually people will catch you in your own lie. And it's about anything that you have to say, do, smell, touch, whatever. And that is why honesty matters. Not the public oversharing, but the honesty is the part that matters. Not turning your pain into performance. Honesty is what matters. Being able to say, this is what I got wrong. This is what I did not understand. This is what I kept repeating. This is what I had to stop pretending. This is what I know now that I wish I knew earlier. These are the things. Like these are the things that has to be known. This is what I wish a lot of people really took the time to get into, because that can be useful. A lot of people are not helped by perfect examples. They are helped by clear examples. There's a difference. A lot of people can use a lot of good examples, and it doesn't need to be done by the people who are perfect. A person can feel too far away because they're too busy trying to pour hold up a performance. And a clear example could be someone because they can lay out the road that they've been on and they can show all the thorns and the thistles that they had to go through. A lot of people can learn because they see the mistakes. They can see the turns, they can see the decisions, they can see the consequences. And they can see maybe I need to look at myself before I end up in the same place that this person went through. This is useful. This is meaningful. Something to consider. Just something for you guys to think about. How are you moving within your own life? What are the things that you are saying? And by the way, how exactly do you measure what you are leaving behind? What do you measure? Quick question for you guys. So because I think that this is a hard part when it comes to people. I'm thinking about myself even at this point. You cannot always know who you helped. I have been in contact with a lot of people, as I'm sure we all have, because life is about choices, trade-offs, and of course other people. But I've been to a point where I can realize these are some differences or some things that come across to be beneficial, because when I run across someone who I meet in the street, who I worked with or whatever, and they are asking me questions, and I'm like, we haven't seen each other in years, and you're asking me a question about someplace that you're probably still at, that I left already. Or people who give me a phone call and ask me, hey, I know you're not here, you're not working anymore. Do you remember about this? Do you remember about that? And I'm like, kind of, sort of. And they ask me for my advice because they want to be able to overcome a situation. Or people who's just like, I'm stressed, I just need someone to talk to, and I know that you're not around anymore, but I view you as a friend. Can I borrow your ear? And I'm like, what do you say to that? Yes, of course. Yes. Tell me what's on your mind. You cannot always know who you can help or who you've helped. Sometimes you'll get the little bit of signals, but most times you really don't know. You cannot always know what's going to be that defining sentence that stayed with somebody. You're not always going to know what example changed someone else's direction. You may never get that thank you, by the way. You may never get that message. You may never know that something was said that hit somebody at that right moment and made them move in a more positive direction. So the measurement cannot only be the applause. It cannot be the only feedback that you get. It cannot be the public proof. Some of it has to be measured by the kind of life that you're building, because you're on your purpose. So ask yourself, am I being more honest or more hidden? I think a lot of people might be really surprised at the answer that they have to give themselves when they do an evaluation. Ask yourself, am I becoming clearer to people or just louder? Am I giving people something real, or am I just asking to be watched? Am I making things easier to understand, or am I just adding to more confusion? Am I helping people to think, or am I just giving them something to react to. This is the real measurement. And no, you will not get it perfect. You will never get it perfect. Nobody does. And if they say that they do, they're a motherfucking liar. You can tell when your life is only being spent on yourself. And you can also tell what you are not building to anyone else. I think you can tell I think you can tell when all you do is consume, complain, react, and repeat. You can tell when you're not leaving anything behind except noise. There's nothing but noise. And I think that is where the quote really matters. To go back to the quote, the original quote, be ashamed to die until you've accomplished some victory for humanity. Maybe your victory for humanity is not global. Perhaps your victory is that somebody did not quit because of something that you said or you did for them. Perhaps your victory is that your child does not inherit the same confusion that you had. Maybe your victory is that your hard work, your dedication helps someone else feel less stress, feel less alone, feel less burdened when it came to dealing with their own situations. Maybe your victory is that you told the truth in a room where everybody else was bullshitting and performing. Perhaps a lot of people will come to acknowledge you, even in secret, because when they look back in their life, you were the actual example. That may not be in the quote history book stuff, but it's not nothing. And a lot of people are living like not nothing is not enough. I think it's enough, especially if it is real. Let me ask you guys something. What is one thing that you want to leave behind? What is one thing that you want to leave behind that is not money, not fame, or people simply remembering your name? That's a question for you guys. Remember what I just said. Not money, not fame, or people simply remembering your name. What is something that you would like to leave behind? I'm going to be thinking about it myself. Again, whether you want to share it in the chat, in the comment section, or you just want to keep it yourself, that's fine. Because I think this is something that you can actually start building towards. I think the answer, whatever the answer is, will tell you something that you need to pay attention to. It's going to be that kind of response that you don't need to wait until the end to start working on. You can start working on it right now. You can start working on it tomorrow, if not right now, if you got some time. And if you haven't come up with the answer for it just yet, this is fine. It's absolutely fine. You don't need to have it right now. But I want us to go a little deeper, to think deeper than worrying about just being liked or being remembered. What do we want someone to actually receive from our life? Hey, Jen. I don't really have much to think about outside of this, so let me try to, I guess, summarize or close it up. So, when I think about that quote, I do not hear it as a pressure to become famous. You know what I mean? I do not hear it as a pressure to save the world. I hear it as a reminder not to live like your life is not affected. It has no effect, because it does. Even if you even if you are quiet, even if you are not known, even if you never become some big public figure, your life still leaves something behind. The way you speak leaves something behind. The way that you treat people leaves something behind. The way you handle pain leaves something behind. The way that you admit truth to others leaves something behind, and to yourself. The way that you build or you avoid building leaves something behind. You know, people only want to look at the macro, but it's the small things that matter. It's the small things that lead to the big things. People want to say, like, this doesn't matter or that doesn't matter, but that's not the truth. Everything matters. And one day, the people who personally knew you, they're going to be gone. That is not meant to be depressing. That is meant to be the truth. So the question is not, will everybody remember me? They will not. At some point, everybody will be dust to dust. The question is, did I give anything that could be useful after the memory of me have faded? That is what I'm sitting with. It is what I am cultivating now. Asking myself, what am I cultivating now that could matter tomorrow? What am I making that could help someone when I'm no longer in the room? What am I correcting in myself so that I do not have to leave people with the worst parts of me? What am I giving now that could be useful beyond my name? Because being remembered is fragile. That goes for all of us. Meaning has a better chance of surviving. And if I am going to leave something behind, I would rather it be something that helps somebody see their life clearer, see the path clearer, move on to better things, think deeply, and then also stop lying to themselves. That doesn't require me to be perfect. but it does require me to be honest. And maybe that is the real question. Not what will people say about me when I'm gone. That that's not it. But what did my life make possible for somebody else while I was here? That is the part that matters to me. That is the part I think we should all sit with. What are you leaving behind? I listen. What's good, John? I appreciate y'all for being here. I am. I would say I will read off anything that I missed, but this was a very, very not only short stream, but also not. There wasn't really notification that was pushed out. I don't know why. Um, I think we're gonna close it out from there. We're not gonna like pay attention to any other people. Um, Appreciate you guys for actually sharing the time. I've actually got to clean up this desk. This is a brand new desk. It looked kind of the same one because it was the old type, but I stripped it up, and now I got to finish treating out the rest of it because it's extremely, not extremely, but it's rather dry right now. And now I've got to coat it up. And I'll figure out what we're going to be doing for our next stream. But this is why I've also been very quiet in the earlier parts of this week because I've been cleaning up this office and also taking care of this new desk. And it's been a large uh, project. I got a couple of things I want to start working on, but I'm not really at liberty to say right now because it's rather big projects. So if anything, be sure to take a look at the community post so you can get a little bit of catch up on what some of the things that I'm going to be talking about, thinking about, doing about. If you guys have anything that you want to say in reference to this particular topic, I will be having a bit of an open forum. Keep in mind, I said open forum, not open panel. And we can talk about that on the stream that will be on Saturday. Between here and now, we'll have to figure out what's going to be doing and what we'll talk about and how we'll go from there. With that being said, take care of yourselves, and I guess I will see you guys on the next one. All right? Later.